I did not know what to say. I wished I had not scolded her. Why didn't you tell your teacher? She'd make them bring it back, Grandma said. That would only make it worse. Last week they were pushing Wei Wei and me around, and she told her mother, and she told the teacher, and they were punished. But then they bullied her even more, and now she has to stay home. Jiyun's voice was calmer. She had almost stopped crying. You should have told Mom and Dad, I said at last. They would have done something about this. No, they just make it worse. I looked at her with a bad feeling growing inside me. I noticed her lumpy and clumsy braids and felt guilty. She had done them herself. I suddenly felt that I had been too hard on her. I was more like a Da Dui Zhang than a sister. When I took her to piano lesson, I scolded her if she did not play well. If she was playing at a friend's house after school, I made her come home and do her homework. In spite of this, she trusted me and relied on me for everything. She would ask my advice on what to do or what to wear. If she went to a movie, she wanted me to go with her. Now she had to learn to take care of herself. It didn't seem fair. She was only 10 years old and too small to protect herself. I took out the new school bag and pencil box I bought for junior high school. Here, I put them into her hand. Let me braid your hair first, and then we'll figure out what else you need and go shopping. I pondered Jiyun's fate. She was so little. Why did she have to suffer? And now that the wheel of fate was turning, why hadn't her fate improved? It had to change soon. A subdued Chinese New Year had passed. So had my 13th birthday, which came and went without any celebration. There was a chill to the air that cut into the skin and numbed the body. I could see Jiang and Xiao Chang standing in the entrance to the alley. They did not seem to feel the cold. Xiao Chang leaned against the green mailbox, gesturing to Jiang. Even at this distance, I could feel the confidence in his movement. Jiang had told us that Xiao Chang's father was having a very difficult time now. Almost every day he was criticized in the struggle meetings. In addition, he was the highest official of our district before the Cultural Revolution, and he would often take us as companion target. He was often taken as a companion target to struggle meetings against his junior officers. It could not have been easy for Xiao Chang to appear so calm. As I approached them, a row of big trucks came slowly down the street and stopped in front of us. We were all shocked. Xiao Chang's father was standing in the first truck. He was wearing a tall dunce cap covered with red X's, a sign for the criminal. His wrists were tied together behind his backs, and his arms were lifted high up behind him. His head had been forced down so that we could not see his face. Around his neck was a heavy wooden sign, Capitalist Executioner Shan Yidan. The name had been written in black ink and crossed out in red paint. We stood there speechless. The people on the truck shouted slogans, and the trucks moved on. I did not dare turn my head and look at Xiao Chang. I knew that he was very close to his father. I searched for something to say to comfort him, but he spoke first. Well, I guess the old man came out to greet his public again. I stared at him in astonishment. Xiao Cheng's eyes were still following the departing trucks. His lips were set in a mocking smile. I turned and went home without a word. Was he really used to seeing his father treated like this? Surely he was just hiding his real feelings. I leaned against the balcony railing, trying to clear my head in the chilly air. I didn't notice Jiang until he leaned on the railing next to me. His face looked very strained. Ming Ming's father is dead, he said weakly. What? I shivered. The institute called his mother this morning. They said that he hanged himself. Hanged himself? Jiang nodded. The institute didn't even let her see the body except through a window. Then they had the body cremated. Xiao Chang was saying that they probably beat him to death before he hanged himself. There's Ming Ming. I've got to go. Ming Ming and Xiao Chang were waiting down in the alley. When Ji Young got there, the three of them walked off together. I went inside, but I still felt very cold. Annie opened the door. Before I could mention Ming Ming's father, I noticed her eyes. They were red and swollen. What happened? She went back inside the apartment without answering, leaving the door open for me. I had not been inside the apartment for a long time. Since Grandma had died, her 90-year-old sister had sat blankly in front of the window all day and never left the room. The mahogany furniture that filled the place was gone, confiscated. The room seemed larger, and our steps echoed. Annie and I sat by the window on the old stools that were now their only seats. What's wrong? I asked my mom. She dropped her eyes. Beaten again? Worse than that. Yesterday, the teachers who were under investigation had to climb the factory chimney. She choked and could not continue. Climb the chimney? I was aghast. What kind of remolding is that? Did she do it? She didn't dare not to. That would be resisting the revolution. She would have been beaten too. And he choked again. Luckily, the factory was off yesterday. You know how hot the chimney gets? I couldn't say a word. I'm really afraid, Ji Li. And you looked straight into my eyes. My mom is a little late coming back from school. We're so worried. Dad paces up and down, and I just can't do anything. Sometimes Dad can't stand it anymore, and he goes to the school to meet her. I'm so scared. I don't know what'll happen next. Julie, sometimes I'm really afraid to go home. The expression in her eyes made me want to cry. I saw her mother clinging to the high chimney. I shivered. I saw her grandma standing by the window in her black clothes. Old Chiang collapsed at the foot of the propaganda wall. Xiao Cheng's father's arms wrenched behind his back. Ming Ming's father dangling in the air, his dung dangling out of his bruised purple face. Fate. Annie dried her tears. We sat in silence for a long time before I asked, do you ever blame your mother for all this? I don't know. Sometimes I think she's too pushy, just like when she dismissed her students' Li Fang study group. That's what first made them call her reactionary. It made trouble for all of us, but she really did do it for the students' own good. That Li Fang study group was a joke. They didn't study his good deeds. They just fooled around every day, and their grades got worse and worse. She wasn't reactionary at all. I hate my grandfather, I said suddenly. If he hadn't been a landlord, none of this would have happened to me. But I guess the only thing I can do is stop thinking about it. It's just my fate that I was born in these times. That's it, Annie agreed. But why doesn't our fate change? I had an idea. Listen, let's predict the future. My cousin told me how to do it. We write different things on different pieces of paper and put them on the windowsill. The first one to blow off will come true. Predicting the future was four olds, but we could not help doing it anyway. We prepared three pieces of paper. Everything will get better, bad luck will continue, and some good and some bad things will happen. We folded them, put a little water on each one, and stuck them on the sill. We waited for the wind to blow from we waited for the wind to blow from heaven while I prayed silently. May Allah bless us, may Allah bless us, may Allah bless us. A breeze rustled past the folded papers, but none of them blew off. Another breeze came. One of the papers flew off the sill. Annie caught it before it hit the floor. Which one? I asked. Which one? She unfolded the paper. Some good, some bad. We looked at each other, and neither of us said anything.